Okay, welcome everyone. Just doing the last minute checks to see that that the stream is starting. Doesn't seem to have yet. I'm going to try and improve my life and not switch between screens so badly. Looks like you're ready, it says. Start streaming now. Okay, fantastic. Welcome everyone. Well, this has got pretty exciting, really, hasn't it? It's we saw this afternoon we saw Leela winning an opening which I thought was really good for white, but not completely lost for black. You know, still some chances, but Leela won it very convincingly. And then Leela did an amazing hold and brought the deficit back down to 4 points. And now in this Open Sicilian, also looking pretty good for white. I mean, it's normally these sacks on d6, they're normally supposed to be good for white. You know, to have 3 connected pass pawns on the queen side, and we'll have a look at it. But in general, there's a few additional points as well in white's favour. So yeah, intuitively, you sort of think that Leela's doing really well here. So let's have a look. The book was e4 c5, knight f3 d6, a Najdorf Sicilian, bishop e3, e6, and bishop e2. Looks like white's going to switch back to some of the quiet 6 bishop e2 lines, but then white sort of switches and plays g4. This move queen c7 I think is probably not supposed to be the best. It's normally it's a sort of a half useful move, but I think certainly what we're seeing with the engines is that these half useful moves in an Open Sicilian can be quite costly in actual fact. So g4 happens, and then we're in the middle of theory here. So b5, g5, chasing the knight away, knight fd7, and then a3 stopping b4. And after bishop b7, h4, and I mean, white's just getting ahead with the kingside counterplay without even waiting to castle queenside. So pretty good stuff, really. Knight c6 played, and then h5. And at this stage, Leela was really looking at an awful lot of different ideas here. In principle, g6 was figuring highest in its PV rather than h6, as you might expect with Leela. But okay, I mean that's all pretty normal and okay. So obviously g6 can only really happen once white's castled, or once you've gone g6 hg, then you'll have to castle, because this rook on h1 is hanging. But yeah, something very interesting happened here now. I mean, Stockfish has to think about, what are you going to do actually? Are you going to castle, or are you going to try and develop play before castling? Now, I do have to say that I think, castling immediately, you know, for on the king side certainly, that just gives white, you know, just freedom to start attacking immediately. So you know, the natural Sicilian feel really would be to try and get some of the play going at least before you castle. You know, to have at least something in place, so that when you castle and white attacks, then you've got something to hit back immediately. You don't have to start at that moment in order to create counterplay. So this is the idea. Now, I mean, Stockfish looked at a number of things. I mean, rook c8 is a pretty normal thing to do. Bring the rook to the c file. Rook b8, which is what Stockfish played eventually, is also quite typical and not silly at all. I mean, you want to play b4 eventually, so yeah, you just want to have the rook on the b file, and you're keeping the c file for the other rook. After you castle, the other rook will come to fc8. I mean, having rooks on b8 and c8, that's pretty, I mean, that's pretty decent, really. The interesting thing, though, is that, and Stockfish, seemed relatively oblivious to this, is that it gives wider possibility for a very typical sack in the Sicilian, but with yeah, but with a number of factors in White's favour. So h6 was played. Obviously, big threat of hg. So Black plays g6, and then knight d takes b5. A takes b5, knight takes b5. And why is this possible so quickly? Well, obviously it's because the rook's been played to b8. You can imagine if the rook was played to c8, Black would have queen b8 and the d6 pawn would still be defended. But with this rook b8 move, then this is tremendously uncomfortable for Black, really. You know, so queen c8, knight takes d6 and takes. And well, I remember reading a very long time ago Sacrifices in the Sicilian by David Levy, funnily enough, chess international master, but also a big chess engine guy, of course. But he looked at an awful lot of different typical sacrifices, and these were obviously featuring very heavily in them. And well, all of the examples he was giving were basically pretty good for White. So I've always had that feeling for myself. But yeah, I mean, really, White's got about the best version I've ever seen of this line, because we've got h6, g6 in. So you know, these there's a huge amount of dark squared weaknesses to exploit. Also, White, you haven't even had to give up your bishop on b5. I mean, often these sacrifices are started with bishop takes b5, and then knight b5 takes d6. But here, in actual fact, you've been able to give up your knight and then get the bishop pair. And of course, you know, taking this dark squared bishop when you've got the h6 and g6 included is really, really strong. Yeah, and then finally, of course, you know, on top of everything else, these three connected pass pawns are very dangerous, and the black king is not yet castled. And it's actually not very easy to castle this king. It looks to be incredibly difficult because you know, White is going to be playing something like castles on the next move. And attacking this knight on d7, and well, the king can't castle if the knight on d7 is hanging. Now, might return to this position a little bit later, but Black played bishop a6. This was the only move that Stockfish and Leela considered, simply to you know, to try and get rid of White's bishop pair, and also to open up the b file for some sort of counterplay. And removing the light squared bishop makes it, yeah, maybe harder for White to get these queenside pawns moving, because well, you can attack some light squares. It'll be hard to move the pawns there. So, but takes, castles, queen b7, defending d7 and attacking the pawn on b2, and now yeah. Interesting moment here. Stockfish wants b3 and Leela wants b4. Yeah, I mean, b4 does appeal quite a bit. It is a little bit weakening, it must be said. But yeah, I do quite like it actually. But I can just see that that Leela has switched to b3 here, which makes me a little bit makes me a little bit sad, I have to say. Yeah, I mean, the thing I like about b4 is that this pawn is unambiguously protected from the queen and rook. On b3, well, we've got knight a5, rook c8, and queen b3 things. You know, that makes me a little bit nervous. Whereas on b4, the pawn was, you know, really solid and a real barrier. But of course, you know, playing the pawn to b4 does weaken the c4 square, for example. So there might be chances for counterplay, especially when you consider that the black knights are not that far away from e5. So b3 is a pretty good, solid move. I mean, just yeah, taking control of c4, dealing with the immediate threat and then letting black think what he wants to do. Yeah, and this is not easy, what black wants to do. I mean, ideally, black wants to castle in this position. That's what black really wants to do. But it's not very easy to achieve because this knight on d7 is loose. So if you want to castle, and I'd say, in general, you'd like to castle without exchanging off queens, really, because in the ending, these 3 pawns are going to be really dangerous. And you're going to be fighting against it with knights, which is also not the the very best thing you could have. So you'd really rather at least keep the queens on, which causes some problems for the white king and attack some light squares, but in order to do that, the problem is that the knight on d7 is loose, so you need to protect that knight on d7 and then block with knight e7. But I mean, if you block with knight e7, you still can't castle because then I've got queen takes e7. So the only way you can really think that the black might castle is to go knight db8, knight e7, and then castle. But I mean, that's awful, really. That's really, I mean, what black's having to do here in order just to keep afloat is terrible. So yeah, I mean, I think that black's probably going to have to give up the whole thought of casting, and he's probably going to have to exchange off the queens, I think. But I mean, if that happens, I don't know. I mean, white's got a big space advantage. Long term, these pawns are just advancing. I mean, I think black's going to be very lucky if black can survive this. I really think this is a very strong position for white. Let's have a look at the PVs and see what they're thinking of. Leela, first of all. Just lock those guys and then see. So queen c7, f4, a really good move. Just taking e5 away from the queen. Rook f8, queen c7 and e5. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure about the exact reason why you'd take on c7, why you wouldn't just go e5 straight away, but okay. Rook d3, king b2, rook h2, lovely and quiet here. This is an interesting one. Leela just giving up the bishop here, and then just advancing the pawns. And well, I mean, the engines can put as many obstacles as possible in the way, but it just happens basically. I mean, you just don't get to stop this basically. It's it'll take a while, but we'll make it. Although Leela here is obviously coming across some sort of obstacle. But again, I would think that I can't believe that you can keep this bottled up for too long. So yeah, I mean, hey Bigo, yeah, that was definitely a nice hold by Leela. Rook b8 could be the decisive mistake. It could be, I think. I mean, this really looks like a classical, knight takes b5 sack, and then knight takes with getting 3 pawns for the piece, but then turbocharged with this huge kingside advantage, all the weak dark squares, and a black king that's really weak as well. So this really does look super strong for white. I would, yeah, I mean, I really am assessing this really as I'd expect to win for white. Yeah, you never know, but this does look really, really strong. Let's have a look. Stockfish played rook f8, so let's have a look what its PV was at the end. F4, knight cb8, here bishop b4. So yeah, I mean, we're going to get this in the same way somehow, that the pawns get exchanged. This is a little bit better feels a little bit better for black, or felt a little bit better for black, with the rook on d5. But yeah, again, the big question is, can you hold back these pawns? I mean, really, my answer really is I can't imagine that you can. I mean, just under these circumstances as well, Just imagine that this rook gets to h8, it takes the pawn on h7, and then this pawn on h6 is proving its worth. And I mean, I would just assume if I saw this in a human game, I just assumed that white was completely winning. If I was playing this as black, I'd assume that black was objectively winning here. So it's only because Stockfish is playing black that that you have any doubt, really. But if you look at this PV, white's just encroaching here. We'll play a6. We'll go rook d6. We're going to win this. I mean, there's just no doubt. It is absolutely clear. So yeah. Who have you bet on, Bigo? Because if you bet on Stockfish holding this, I think you're going to lose. I think you're joining the Heroes Club. That's my feeling. If you bet on Leela, then then your bits are safe, basically. So yeah, pretty. Yeah, this is really very, very difficult for black. I mean, of course, if anyone can save it, Stockfish can. But yeah, I really think this is incredibly strong. Let's just have a little look at new PVs. What's Leela doing? I mean, the plan is not. Oh yeah, Leela's now gravitated to Stockfish's PV or something similar to it. Oop. Let's just lock this guy and see what's happening. Rook e1, Queen c7, e5. I mean, the contours are basically the same all the time. We just we're putting the pawns on f4 and e5. That's a really enormously solid kingside structure that we can hold with one rook. One rook on c4 defends the pawn on f4. Easy. That's clear. And then afterwards, we're just going to go slowly to move the pawns, and we don't even fear the exchange of rooks. I don't even think that we fear the exchange of both pairs of rooks. As long as the king's well placed, we can probably keep the knight under wraps. So all we have to do is stop it getting at the f4 pawn, and then which is basically means controlling d5 and d3 with one with a pawn, one with a king, and then we're done. So joining, you founded it. Oh, indeed. Oh, dear me. So yeah, and in this position, I can't believe that black can hold this. I mean, it's only 0.63 from Leela, but I mean, it doesn't look. I mean, these three pawns. Well, just what's happening with Leela? Ah, you see in Leela's PV what's happening. Leela's going for the H pawn. Lord knows whether this one's winning, but yeah, I don't know what Leela's made of this one. Probably not a win, but I mean the basic story is we're playing the pawns f4 to e5. The queens get swapped off. We swap off a bishop for a knight. We don't mind swapping off a pair of rooks as well, and then we just push the pawns. And yeah, I think if you save this, then it's going to be the the incredible exception, basically. I would expect Leela to be able to put this one away, but I've been wrong before, so let that not hold anyone back from betting on a win. Whoa, 1 million in the pool, 730,000 on a draw. Wow, wowsies. But what about Mr. Beads? He didn't go in with 250k on this one. What? My goodness me, what happened with Mr. Beads? How did you not put 250,000 on this one? All right, that's slightly surprising actually, but because he's betted on much worse. But well, for example, that last game that Leela held, I was I mean, I thought Leela would put up a better fight than a better defence than Stockfish did. It seemed like that in my test games, and the PV certainly during Stockfish's game seemed, quite solid. But I was quite surprised it held it in the end. Just goes to show you just can't. Oops, you can't just can't. You can't predict these things. It's some of the most awful positions these engines manage to hold, and quite reasonable ones they seem to lose as well. So, and hard to know quite why sometimes. So, okay, let's have a look. So Stockfish, slightly spiky evaluation, but the general trend seems to be upwards there. Leela creeping upwards. It's feels a little bit like this Slav game that Leela won, where Leela was just playing excellent moves all the way through, but just seemed a little bit depressed in its evaluation. But yeah, but I guess that'll do the Leela fans fine. So yeah, I mean the big problem with black is that well, the general conditions are so bad. King in the center, all those weak dark squares, that black's having to spend a lot of time just vaguely manoeuvring in order to eject the white queen. I mean, that's the big problem. I mean, very often in these lines as well, the exchange of queens is sort of included in the deal, and white takes on d6, you take back, you take with a queen, the rook comes, and then you get the king in the center, and life continues. And even those are supposed to be quite tricky. So this one, I just cannot believe this. Mr. Beeds went for an evening walk. You mean has he not bet at all? That would be incredibly shocking. Oh my goodness me. But yeah, but this is quite interesting. The interesting thing then would be, how would Leela go and defend this position as black? But I don't think it would be playing rook b8 or anything like that. So, but it could be, yeah, it could well be be getting attacked in the king side on a different way. So, yeah, I don't know. But again, the black position, the opening position is definitely a bit dicey. Well, we've seen it with with many engine games now that any of these slightly inaccurate move orders in the opening, they get punished quite. They can get punished quite nastily. But it is only a 0.5 evaluation. Yeah, it should be possible to do something with black again. Just like I mean, if you can do something with the game we've just had, in the Nimzovich, then well, you can definitely do something with this one. So yeah, Leela having a good think. Just evaluation increasing slightly more. Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to come down. Looking at the PVs, basically, it's really going to come down to accuracy in this sort of position. Basically, it's going to come down to accurately finishing this one off, and advancing the pawns in such a way that black's unable to block. But I mean, frankly, I would have. It looks possible to me, and well, if it looks possible to me, then I'm pretty sure that Leela is capable of working out a great way of doing this. Can be a little bit tricky, to get all the pawns right. But I think the other thing about these positions is that you've got the ace in the hole, which is the the weakness of the h7 pawn. So I mean, black could maybe swap off a knight for 2 pawns, and just reduce your pass pawn to 1. But still, the rook ending will be very difficult because your rook will have to stay passive in order to stop white's rook from getting into the behind the h7 pawn. So I think you've just got an awful lot of you've just got so much going for you in this position that it's just not going to be possible to hold it. But yeah, pretty classic sacrifice. The rook a7 b7. Yeah, it was a very nice hold from Leela, I have to say. Really, just yeah, yeah, seemed to anticipate everything that that Stockfish might do, and just you know, marshaled its lines beautifully. It's because it was, yeah, you know, it was a tricky position, and I was a little bit surprised that that Stockfish didn't launch a big attack there. Oh, he bet 50,000 on Leela. Yeah, but for Mr. Bede's 50,000, that's loose change. That's it's. But yeah, yeah. I mean, I was really. I thought that Stockfish would just start launching some massive kingside attack, but sort of seemed to get a bit distracted. You know, gain a bit of space on the queen side and the king side, and sort of you know, the advantages add up to a big eval, but neither of them are decisive on either wing, and then it just ends up, you know, petering out really. You know, you run out of pieces, and you've got control of the c file, and you've got the you know, an outpost on f6 and stuff like that, but it you know, it doesn't combine together simply, you know. And yeah, yeah, funny. I mean, sometimes you think that Stockfish just is just perfection how it plays, and then at other times like this, you sort of yeah, it looks like it's just gets its strategy a little bit wrong. Just hard to really know exactly why sometimes, you know, as well. So, but well, I guess that's just the joy of being a programmer, that you have to work all this stuff out. Oh, what's Leela looking at here? Oh, there we are. Well, yeah, I said that that probably swapping off even both pair of rooks would be possible, and here Leela is giving white an extra pawn to boot as well. But knight against 3 pawns is quite nasty. King b4, because you're not going to be able to... I don't think you're going to be able to stop these. We'll go b6 as well, won't we? Oh, Leela's just going for this one. Ah, you see, going for the h7 pawn. Hilarious. Is this winning? Yeah, this must be... Well, no, this one's drawn, actually, this one, I think. Because as soon as you take the h7 pawn, black goes king f8, and you'll never get your king out of that cage. So, yeah, still some work to do on that one. But, okay. You know, I mean, I'm assuming that Leela will improve things as it goes along. But yeah, Leela obviously looking at an awful lot of these king and pawn endings. Yeah, I mean, of course, you know, it is quite... how's this one? Our pawns aren't that fast, are they? Oh, you're just claiming that you can do this. I guess you can. This one probably is winning, isn't it? I mean, you just can't get hold of the pawns there. So yeah, so Leela obviously looking at a lot of king and pawn endings, and indeed, you know, if you can, if swapping off both pairs of rooks is still winning, then you know, I mean, then well, then we're really talking. You know, I mean, then there's just no hope whatsoever. But I think, yeah, what Leela's interested in all these lines is creating a path for the king into the pawns. So this e takes d6 frees the b2 h8 diagonal, and you can go there, even at the cost of a pawn. Actually, it's just you know, the typical thing: get rid of a pawn, and then your pieces are free. And I think that's the thing. It sort of feels that these 3 pawns. Well, I mean, the black king can't deal with those 3 pawns alone, so the knight's got to stay somewhere within the yeah, got to stay somewhere within the area. So. I would have thought that this is going to be good. Yeah, TCC chat starting to doubt me. Indeed. But we'll see. We'll see. I really don't. I'm not 100% convinced about. I'm not 100% sure about it, rather. But I'm. Yeah. I mean, I think Leela is the overwhelming favourite to win this, and I would say that a win for Leela, I feel, is more likely than a draw in this position. But yeah, we'll see. It's because I reckon probably if you look at Chatilo at the moment, it might be over 3,000. So might be stronger than me. But yeah, I mean, just in general terms, this is it's not a this is a very normal scenario in Sicilians, and always thought to be extremely strong for the sacrificing player. So it's pretty it's pretty classic stuff, really. It's not like not like a bizarre position that you've never seen before, and you're just having to assess it. I mean, this really is in the human canon, this is a very clear advantage for white. So we'll see. The average elo of the chatting chatters is 1795. Okay, so I've still got a little lead there. That's my shogi rating, actually, but thank goodness we're looking at chess here. It's often thought about trying to do shogi streams, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure whether my strength is really enough to do anything convincing, really. Certainly not to comment on professional games, but maybe to do, I don't know, when you play yourself, something like that. But not sure. Ooh, well, maybe the chat is doubting me, but I think Stockfish is believing me. So, and that that at the end of the day is all that counts. So I would have thought, yeah. I mean, again, we'll see whether I might easily be wrong, I suppose. But I would expect that at some stage, Stockfish's evaluation is going to is really going to start increasing as more and more of the endings that it manages to calculate just end up being lost. It's let's have a little look at Stockfish's PV then, and we'll just have another check to see what the guy is looking at. So Queen E7. Okay, so we've got a swapping off here. We get the rooks active this way. A4, rook here. So looks like, yeah, okay. So it's going for a defensive structure with the rook on F1, attacking the pawn on F4, and then afterwards, yeah, it's just going to try and wait. And then the key thing is how do you worm your way into the position? Yeah, so there, the Stockfish doing quite well from that point of view, getting the knight onto D5. But these pawns are dangerous. But yeah, this is okay, knight A6. This is what I was talking about. Exactly this, actually. That so Stockfish, might manage to swap its knight for two pawns, but then you've got the the ace in the hole is this H6 pawn and this H7 pawn, and the idea that if this one disappears, you're very close to queening this pawn. So, but yeah, I don't know. Would this be winning? Well, rook H8, rook takes H7. But you'll check the king back. This probably wouldn't be winning this this PV. I would have thought. I would have thought that this would be drawn somehow. But ha! Shogi rating of the chat. You never. Oh, good lord, sorry. You never know. You never know. Quite a few of these. I mean, these guys are all mathematicians, so it's. I'm sure a lot of them play Go anyway, and probably a few play shogi as well. Probably a few of them have programmed shogi machines. I talked with had one time a chat with Tort Romstadt, and he'd programmed a Chinese chess engine as well. So I play a bit of Chinese chess as well. I'm probably I'm probably considerably weaker than I am at shogi, but it's also a cool game. So although quite a few a lot of draws in there as well, from that point of view. It's if you want to have a guaranteed win computer competition, then shogi is definitely your game, I think. So Stockfish coming up with all sorts of creative ways of exchanging off the queens. What's the thinking time here? 1:32. So 30 minutes just for Leela, and nearly an hour gone for Stockfish. Okay. Yeah, same. It's just the same scenario. This one doesn't look very good at all for. But all of these moves that are being played, they're all about somehow trying to get the pawns forward. And well, I mean, of course, you know, I think a human would have a great deal of difficulty in keeping any sort of balance here. But of course, you know, with again, we're getting these endings. I mean, this is the thing that that maybe is the this is probably going to be the way that Stockfish will try and defend it. Again, just play for a rook and pawn ending, and give the knight up for 2 pawns, and then try and hold somehow. But again, you know, I just feel that with these weak pawns here, and especially the h7 pawn, I find it hard to believe that that you'll make it. Whoa! Rook a7. Are you kidding me? You are not kidding me. Yeah, the king and pawn ending is drawn in actual fact, but here now you get round to h8. But is this a win? Rook h7, king e4, rook g7, rook c8, h7, rook 8. Ah, this must be a win. This must be a win. It's got to be a win, this rook ending. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think obviously you know, you can't trust the PV towards the end, but I'm pretty sure that an ending, one of these rook endings, will be winning, especially with the rook passive. So yeah, I think that's pretty. Still looking pretty likely. Leela's still a little bit depressed, but Stockfish's PV, Stockfish's evaluation is rising here, and I'm not surprised, to be honest. I mean, I do think that well, I think that this position is more or less objectively lost for White. So I would expect that the Stockfish will gradually increase its PV, understanding more and more that more and more of these endings are lost. So Jadra, yeah, that's a good question. They are actually quite different games, shogi, shanki, and chess. But of course, you know, what you get free with your chess skills is stuff like, well, I mean, general game awareness. You know, you're trying to mate the king, you're trying to attack. You know, so you understand the point of the whole game very well, and also everything like forks, skewers. You know, all that sort of stuff you understand quite well. So I think you have a very quick start on tactical play. But in terms of strategy, I mean, they really are quite different. And well, I mean, I'm always noticing with shogi that you know, the whole thing about material, the whole thing about material is really completely different in shogi. I mean, you can really just give up, you know, your big piece, your bishop or your rook, you know, just for a couple of tiny little pieces, and it's good somehow, you know. And this whole material balance thing is completely different to chess, so that's quite different. But you get you really have a flying start. It's a turbocharged start to shogi with chess knowledge. And shanki, I found it's a little bit weirder, shanki. Because you know, you've really got these only defensive pieces and a limited number of attacking pieces. But once I got into it, again, you're finding that your skills help. The only thing with shanki, it's got this really weird piece, the cannon, which is which, you know, can jump over other pieces to capture. Well, can only capture pieces by jumping over something, and this is adding a real bit of randomness. I was still, I mean, I must have played about 40 or 50 games on on the little Gollum site where you play these long games, and still, you know, at the end of it, I still missed a couple of cannon captures. So that's quite difficult. But yeah, turbocharges you, but they are quite different games. And actually, Habu, who's one of the greatest shogi players of all time. He played quite a bit of chess. He was IM strength, you know. Basically, he was Garry Kasparov at shogi, and he was IM, you know, he was IM strength at chess. But he thought, yeah, he said that you know, when he came, when he started, he thought that chess and shogi were just the same, and that it was going to be easy. But yeah, he realised that chess was very, very different to shogi, and that you know, some of his skills were transferable, but a lot of the feeling and intuition was completely different. And so I've had, you know, much lower level. Of course, I've had the reverse. You know, so I think I've got to a decent level at shogi without, you know, studying too much. But yeah, you'd need some different sort of mindset, I think, to really excel at it. So, Stockfish is booming and Leela is moving. What is that saying about the position? Well, I'm sticking to my prediction. But what is Leela looking at here? This has not changed at all. I think that Leela is probably not yet able to manage its way through yeah, through tough defenses. Yeah, it's looking at a lot of endings like this, where it's giving up pawns and then going after the H pawn. But I wouldn't have thought that this one would be. This one feels a bit risky somehow. You're quite slow with your old rook's pawn. I mean, rook h5. I mean, what would you be? Yeah, not sure whether this one would be winning. I mean, what we have in this one, we could go rook g8 and then possibly have some mates against the king in some way. But I would have thought that this one's not good. But yeah, I mean, that's actually the interesting thing, that I think we've had it for a while now, that Leela's finding it hard to get to advance his queenside pawns against strong resistance. So yeah, I think that probably explains why its evaluation is going down. But I sort of feel that Stockfish is working out more and more that it's just not possible in the long run to hold the pawns. You know, I think that's the thing. And that feels like, you know, I would be, you know, it'll be yet another amazing thing if this happens to draw here. But you can see that the play is pretty subtle. Oh, look at this! So Stockfish is basically you're giving away all of your pawns, more or less, but you're yeah, you're ending up with your you're exploiting your kingside structure there. This one, yeah, again looks very promising. I mean, you just come here and grab this pawn, and then you're hiding, and then you queen. Yeah, I don't know. Again, going to be a sort of a miracle if White manages to hold this. So yeah, it's Leela's turn to think about this. Hey, Moronocracy USA, good to see you back. It's coming at an exciting moment. So Yeah, it would be incredible if Leela was unable to work out how to get through Stockfish's defences, but I think that's unlikely, to be honest. I think that's unlikely. But because even though Leela's evaluation is a little bit sort of depressed, it's still playing good moves. So so I think that eventually it'll find a way past. Okay, so this is just whilst we're waiting for a few more moves. Could probably have a quick look at the previous game. Whoops, this one, Nibbler. Actually, one thing I'm intrigued about is what would Leela have done in RPV. So let's have a little look at that. Actually, I'll just grab the PGM. So a quick look at this one, 7. Low PGM from clipboard. So yeah, this was kind of I could quite imagine these moves all being played. Oh, by the way, yeah. I was saying that wouldn't it be nice if you could put your mouse over the PV in order to see the board whilst you're doing that. And well, Alan, the developer of Nibbler, wrote to say there is this option. It's already in the GUI. So fantastic. Here it is. So we'll see how that goes. Let's do analysis go, and we will see. Still my 3.4. I think I'm at. I tried it when I wasn't streaming, and I was at 11 or something. So I think it's just that my streaming is probably costing a fair amount of CPU and GPU as well, and so I'm not really going that fast there. You can see if I just put my mouse now over a PV, I just get the diagram. Incredible, isn't it? Really like that. So Rook C8 is the main one. I mean, basically, Leela's seems to be looking first of all at Rook C8 and playing Knight C5 now. Knight C5, that makes me nervous, I have to say. Always these plans where you play, these plans like Knight C4. Always doubt them somehow. I mean, after all, the white light square bishop is not doing that much, and you're not really. Yeah, it's going to take you a while before before you're really dangerous. I mean, if you could recapture with a black knight on c4, then that's really dangerous. But somehow you'll get these two bishops, and then you're just going to be hit with with a break like this, and yeah. Makes me very very nervous. The one good thing about this g6 is that you get the f6 square, but yeah, I don't know. This position here looks quite ugly, really. I mean, a lot of things have been exchanged, but yeah, d6 is weak. Yeah, I mean, Leela looking maybe to grovel out to an ending there, but. Yeah, not so sure, but we'll leave it going like this, and yeah, we'll leave it going like this for a little while, and then we'll see. Hopefully, it's not going to kill the stream, but because it's 100% GPU usage now. But yeah, I mean, we'll just let it go, and then we'll get an idea maybe with more nodes what Leela might play. But Knight a5 coming in. Yeah, I don't like this plan very much. I'd feel much happier playing Rook c8 and then playing b4. I mean, that's really that would make me much happier. Interesting thing is that if you go b4 too soon, then Leela's saying a takes b4, knight takes b4. I play h6, g6, and then I castle kingside. And then I just yeah, I just say that you've You've ruined your queenside structure by playing b4, so I'm going to exploit that. Frankly, even that doesn't. That feels better than anything we've seen in the game so far. So, but I'll leave it like that, and then we'll see what's happening. Okay. 0.75. Wow. That is amazing. Stockfish. Yeah, I mean, all these moves have been completely expected. So, yeah. Oh, a team of us could a team of us beat Magnus? We stand a better chance. We stand a much better chance because I mean, just in terms of spotting tactics and spotting ideas. But you need somebody with a. Somebody would need to be the boss somehow with a good clear idea of what needs to be done because obviously if you've got completely different people then it could get confusing. But I do think that yeah, I do think that that a team would have a better chance than individually. Absolutely. It's now I'm amazed at this. I'm absolutely amazed. I cannot believe this. You can't tell me that this is holding for black. I'm going to need much more evidence before I believe. But what's the Stockfish found that's so amazing then? A4, rook h3, rook c3. Okay, so what Stockfish seems to be doing there, it seems to think that it can avoid exchanging off rooks. That is what but come on. I mean, and it thinks that it can just hold forever in this sort of situation. But yeah, okay, so it thinks that it can it thinks that it can just avoid exchanging off rooks. That's the key thing. And wow, that just has not been knight b6, knight d7. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I really don't believe this. I mean, I have to say, I really don't believe it at all. But yeah, we're going to see, aren't we? If I take the faith test, I will not have faith in Stockfish. I can tell you. But we're going to see, aren't we? Wow, that would be amazing. This would be absolutely incredible. If that was true. What's Leela seeing? I mean, Leela's still punting on these lines where white does exchange off a rook, and then it's all about forcing the queenside pawns through, which yeah, I'm pretty sure that if you've looked in old textbooks and you'll get a position that's even not any better than this, and you'll just say n white wins with the 3 passed pawns, so that's really when defending is good to exchange rooks. Yes, indeed. But yeah, I mean, Stockfish. Yeah, I mean, black does need that counterplay, and as soon as the pair of rooks disappears, then yeah, then the counterplay diminishes. But that with white's rooks crawling over your position, that you can avoid it, seems pretty far-fetched. Ah, wait a minute. Let me do the. Let's do the faith test. I do feel it's worth doing that. Faith Stockfish. Oh, good lord! I have faith in Stockfish. Curses. But we'll see. We'll see. It's. But yeah, so I mean, basically, Leela's not getting too excited because it's got these it's getting these rook against rook and knight positions, and it's not really sure how to force through these pawns. It's finding a lot of resistance there, and Stockfish is confident all of a sudden because it thinks it can avoid exchanging off rooks. And that this makes it even more difficult to advance the pawns. My goodness me. Wow, this would be incredible, this would. I can't believe it. I can't believe that you can just let White's rooks roam free like this and avoid the exchange of rooks. It doesn't make it doesn't seem possible somehow. So wow, we'll see. God, I was really thinking this was going to be a surefire Leela back to plus back to a 3-point deficit, but so Leela thinking a very long time here, but going slightly down in evaluation, but more or less the same level where it's always been. So nothing too alarming. Be very interested to see what whether Stockfish's evaluation stays at this 0.75 or whether it changes again. Probably. God, that can't be true. This can't be. Let's have a little look. What will Leela play in the reverse? Knight c5. Did I click on that? Yeah, the fish is pretty good at Sicilians, but Leela's pretty good too, really. It's castles knight c4. Well, anyway, at a low number of nodes, a couple of million, then looks like Leela wants something like this. Then heads into some ropey ending, which it might hold. Well, we've seen Leela doing that before. Bad endings and holdings, so yeah, could be possible. But feels yeah, feels difficult. Leela really think a long time, 10 minutes here, but pretty good really. I mean, this is one example when its time management really is quite useful, because it definitely needs time in this position. Actually, I'm sort of intrigued. I'm just going to get the I'm just going to get Monster Stockfish to take a look at this. I can't hold out any longer. Let's so let's get 1 billion nodes a second Stockfish to take a look at this and see what it says. 13.6 billion nodes. That's quite impressive, really, but I'm just intrigued about it, so let's have a look. There we are. I will mortgage Stockfish 14 and NUE. Well, they also do Stockfish without. Core chess. What on earth is core chess? COR chess. Is that some sort of fork of Stockfish? I could look it up as well, but just wondering. I'm just seeing options for Chessify. I'm seeing Stockfish NNUE, Stockfish 14, and core chess. Okay, we go for NNUE. And we'll see. You can't actually see this, I think. Or maybe I can. Why shouldn't I be able to do this actually? F7. Let me just. I'll try and add a source to. I need to get my mouse sorted first of all. Dot, dot, dot. Right, there we are. Add source. Window capture. Have I got that? Yeah. Enter new game. All right. Well, if we make that bigger. So. Yeah, it is chess-based. It's just I need chess-based to access the Chessify cloud. That's the best way to do it. So there we are. So we'll just have a look at that, and we'll just see. At the moment, it's analysing at 100,000 kilonodes per second. So that's the only thing about Chessify that sometimes goes wrong, is that you order these big machines and then somehow they never quite materialize. But yeah, hopefully this time it'll work, and then we will I'll get this super fast machine working on it, and we can see, yeah, whether it agrees with Stockfish. So I'll just leave that going on in the background, and then we'll have a look. King E7. Happening very fast, and the evaluation is going down. Well, I can tell you this is going to rewrite a few books if this happens. God. Wow. Nah, it's good. I've had a few of these things that you know, that I think I just cannot believe them in this Sufi. So this could be added to it, but I'm not 100% sure yet. I'm still waiting to be absolutely convinced. I mean, I suppose. Sorry, let me just put that there. I'll just keep an eye on the old Chessify thing, because it cost me a lot of money if I forget about it. So so let's have a look at the PV and just see what Stockfish is saying. Is it still the same sort of story? Yeah, it thinks it can just oh, it's exchanging now. Okay. Well, then I don't understand at all. So it's just it thinks that it has a way to hold these positions. My goodness. Takes. It thinks this is just, wow. Would this just be equal? Are you sure? Are you sure? Yeah, I suppose. Oh God. I mean, even this, I'm struggling to think of it, to see it. But okay, I apparently have a super fast machine. Yes, there we are. Node speed. There we are. So this is the. I'm at basically 1,000 million nodes per second on this one. So this is the counter is ticking already. And well, I mean, let's just have a look to see what this is. Stockfish 14 NNUE. So I guess they only run release versions of these. They don't run the the development versions, but let's have a look at what this guy says, because we can get a huge amount of nodes on this. So I'm at 70,000 million. Yeah, I mean, so far it's pretty rock solid at 1.21 really. So interesting. Well, I'm going to leave it for a few minutes, and then we're going to see what it says. But yeah, so far it's pretty rock solid. So I'm at 100,000 million nodes. So yeah, I mean, probably not as good as what nowhere near what the TCC machine has done, but we will see. Ah, wait a minute, much faster without multi-PV. Okay, so let's go. Ah, curses. Okay, well, we'll just go for 1 line. Ah, what's the node speed there? We'll start it up again. Okay, yeah, that's even faster. That's true. We'll just go for 1 big line then. That's a good point. Great. Okay, so yeah, so I'm running. I'm running now. I've started it with a single line, and we will see what that gives. I'll just leave it for 4 or 5 minutes. Okay, so what Stockfish is, I mean, Stockfish is trying to delay exchanging off rooks for as long as possible, but it does also feel that rook and knight versus rook, with against those 3 passed queenside pawns, that it's capable of holding them back, and that's incredible. That's really really amazing. Yeah, that's right, Jada. I mean, I thought, you know, I said that at the beginning actually, that I thought that well, I'd always had the ace in the hole of the pawn on h6. So, you know, even if black somehow managed to hold these, then, you know, you just somehow you get a rook behind this pawn, or a king coming over, and you know, you've got too many trumps. But well, Stockfish is confident. Let's have a look. What is well, this guy, 151,000 million nodes, and we're still at 1.21 here for an evaluation. So yeah. Intriguing. I mean, it might. I mean, this is you know, somewhat older software, I suppose, in comparison to the version of Stockfish playing in the TCC, but I'm not sure. I would have thought for this sort of position it wouldn't make so much difference. 200,000 million nodes now, so and we're still at 1.23. I'll leave it on for a few more minutes, and we'll see how that goes. Incredible, and yeah, really amazing. So Leela thinking a lot here, as you can see from the. Oh, wait a minute. Let me just adjust the screen a little bit. Sorry, just finding my mouse. Just put it like that up. Looking at the time for Leela, you can really see that. Or just go down there, have a little look. Yeah, you can really see that some big peaks of time now for. Yeah, Stockfish had a big think in the opening, and afterwards just had one big think there, and then yeah, Leela's had a number of peaks in recent moves. He's got another one coming along here. So well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've got 369,000 million nodes, and yeah, it's looking pretty. Still looking, quite tasty for white. So I'm not quite sure what to make of that. Copy to notation. Let me just lock the engine on there, and let's have a look at what the main line is. Rook c4, a4. I mean, basically it just looks the same, doesn't it? Rook b7, rook c4. Well, okay. Nothing much happening here. Just a lot of shuffling, really. Are we going to see any action at all? Okay, we get the rooks exchange. Yeah, this sort of thing we've seen before, and this was what the TCEC Stockfish. Yeah, we've seen this line exactly, in actual fact, and TCEC Stockfish was assessing this as. So actually, maybe what I should do is this position. I should get this monster Stockfish to have a look at it. Because this was exactly the type of, exactly the position that we're seeing in the Stockfish PV, in the TCC. So let's unlock the engine. I will just copy that to notation as well. Oh, good lord. Fine. And then this position. We'll unlock the engine and we'll let it have a go. Oh, that's decreasing. That is decreasing. Ah, okay. So this is that's amazing. So so this basically is the type of position that's leading to the decrease. So looks like interesting. Yeah, I mean, I don't know any of the settings at all, of course, of what what this Stockfish is running at all. But yeah, it's just obviously way more powerful than anything I've got. So yeah, at least stands a chance of being comparable to what's running at the TCEC. Interesting. I'll just let it run for a few. My goodness me, it's lower than than Leela's evaluation. Amazing, amazing. You would not believe this. Well, thank goodness Mr. Beads didn't go all in for Leela. Thank goodness Mr. Beads had his walk. But I do think that Leela was missing a bit of moral support. I think basically Leela's not going to win unless Mr. Beads is watching. So I'll just let it run, and then we can have a look at the line that that it's suggesting there. It's yeah, I mean, this is really something that's completely beyond human chess, of course. You know, it's just these sort of judgments or calculation or anything like this. This is really superhuman chess. It's we'll see. I'll see whether maybe I'm going to make an effort and try and actually understand what all these PVs actually mean, and the defenses that black is finding. It's yeah, but this evaluation is not moving at all. I've got 200,000 million nodes, depth of 52. Let's leave the depth just a little bit longer then. And what have we got? 51-82, haven't we, in Stockfish? So 51 iterations and 82 moves maximum depth. So oh, Keres PV, of course. Let's have a look. Keres PV. What is Keres saying? Let's lock it. So that's all basically the same. Nothing to see here. We've got the exchange of rooks again. This one. Yeah, this was. This is very interesting. This was in. This is what Leela was looking at earlier on, and we were talking about this, about freeing the well, you're willing to lose this pawn in order to free the path of the king to there. Actually, I might put massive Stockfish on this one as well, because this is really really interesting, this one. Because how does it carry on? It carries on with King D7, C4. I mean, you're just basically, yeah. I mean, we saw this one before. Yeah, this is just winning, right? I mean, I'm just going C7 here, so yeah, interesting. Oh, that's a good one. We'll have a look at that. Okay, let's just have a quick look. Just let me lock that. Oh, good lord, sorry. Clicking on the wrong window there. Lock that, just to have that analysis. I will copy to notation. And then what have we got here? It's this line, isn't it? So rook d3. So what's he saying? He's just, I mean, yeah. I mean, White's made so much progress here, but what he's saying is that first of all, he takes the c pawn, and this is the key idea actually. This rook c1, rook d1. Wouldn't amaze me if this was what he hadn't seen in the beginning. But we have to give up both. We give up both of our pawns, and then we go after the kingside pawns. And this is the amazing thing. This is actually drawing, because he goes rook h7. And as if by magic, all of the pawns have disappeared. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, let's get the Keres PV. Let's get that one. Sorry, just make sure I get the right one. PGN. And let me just. I'm just going to save this just so I've got it. Okay. And then yeah, let's just paste it in. Okay, that just replaces. Wait a minute, I'll just do save game as. Okay, fine. Let's have a look at this position. What does Massive Stockfish think of this one? So this is from the Keres PV, where Keres is 0, 0, 0, 0. But Keres is saying that this is interesting, but Massive Stockfish thinks this is just drawn instantly. But we'll let it run for a while again, and then we'll see what it makes of it. By the way, yeah, I mean, if you're wondering about which books have been checked with with really fast engines, basically, then I heard that so Parmaragan Negi, so the Indian Grandmaster, he writes some fantastic books for quality chess, but he was apparently using Chessify engines to check all his analysis. So Stockfish boomed. Whoa! Oh, wowsies! Good lord! Well, looky at that. But what is Stockfish thinking? Where is it all? Oh, but he's back. He's back again. Oh! Look at that. I mean, which line is Stockfish looking at still? Yeah, it's this one again. I mean, this is the really. Oh, we've lost all the PV now. This is really. I'm sure it's this whole line. I mean, it's so crucial. It's just this one path that the king comes to the king's side, and then you've got to. Everything's just got to fit together and hold like that. Crazy. But okay, what have we got? This Keres line, Stockfish just doesn't rate it at all. 255,000, 255,000 million nodes, and it doesn't like it at all. So copy to notation. Let's lock, and we'll just see. Oh, hilarious. You just give away a pawn just to block the path, and then you hold it like that. Wow, that's a concept. And King f6 is not working. Yeah, of course, as soon as the king comes round here, you just go e7 to f7 and you block it. And the knight can hold back these three pawns. That's not a problem. Yeah, okay. That was Keres. Yeah, okay. That's that is indeed true. So I'm really going to have to go to bed quite soon. I've got an early start tomorrow morning. Oh no, don't want to leave this one behind, but I think I'm going to have to soon. But I'll just have a hang on a little bit and see how it all goes. Yeah, it's true, can chess. It's really really strange. Just but yeah, indeed, it's huge danger. But then searches until it finds some miracle defenses. But wow, what an ending! What an ending! You would just not believe it. Well, Leela's going to have to do quite a bit to beat that, I think, in its reverse game. I don't even think we can ask Mr. Beats to do some hoovering on this one. It's just going to be Stockfish's stellar play that saves it. It's not really a missed opportunity from Leela. Still got some pretty thrilling variations ahead of us, though, but probably in something like an hour's time. So. Just have a quick look at the PV. I've still got Stockfish running actually, so just have a quick look at the Stockfish PV. We've got a PV. Oh, thank you. How about Crystal? What is Crystal saying? Interesting. Crystal also looking for this sort of plan to not anymore. Whoa, rook. This is 3, but Crystal is moving. Crystal is moving now. So okay, I'm going to stop my Stockfish. There we are. Thank you, Chessify, once again. Great stuff. Copy to notation. Remove. Yeah, I mean that looks that's pretty damn good. Okay, so where's my mouse? There we are. We'll make the stream good again. Oh, let's have a look at the Stockfish PV, this thing of astounding beauty. What's it looking for? B4. Rook here. Just trying a slightly different approach. We've seen this position before. I mean, this is really amazing that you can just put the rook on a4, where it's got no moves, and it doesn't even get trapped. Yeah, because you go rook d1 in order to play king b3 and win the rook, and then Stockfish wants to sack. You get this 2 rooks ending, but it's yeah. And with the 2 rooks, okay, and this is not losing. Are you serious? Yeah, I guess. I mean, I guess that black keeps on checking and then puts its rook on h1. You win the pawn, but you just can't advance it any further. Although I am very skeptical about that. Let me just one thing. Wait a minute. Because That can't be true that this is a draw. Because I go... So rook check, king there, here. And I go back here, I think. Takes. King e7, I go rook h8. And, I mean, I think you're just checking me, you know. I mean, I think this is how this is working, and you're sort of, you know, staying like this. But this must be a win, because in this position I just break with f5. It doesn't matter what you do. If I go gf, I go g6, and then I go rook a8. You know, this is this standard rook thing. And if I go f5 takes, I go e6. Oh my goodness, are you serious? Oh, is this the point? Is it that you just wait in this position? Because if you go f takes e6, I go rook a8 again, this old trick. And if you go king e6, then I go rook e8 check. But you can just wait, probably. Because if I move away, you take this pawn. And if I take here, then I just come here. And when you do this check, then you're close enough to your king to defend. Wow, would this really be drawn? Or could I mean, I've got freedom with my king. I could wander to all sorts of places. But I'll always get checked when I'm... and I don't see how it helps. I can move my king all around the place, but it doesn't help. Or maybe this is the point. Maybe this is... God. I mean, it's just hanging by a thread, this ending. One of the most amazing things I've seen, I think. Really... Crystal is let me just scroll down a little bit. Crystal is again very positive. Yeah, this is the position, right? I mean, this is the key position in Crystal's PV. So what's it saying? Oh, 140. Wait a minute. We've sort of been here before, I have a feeling. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, what Crystal's doing, Crystal's not putting the pawn on b5, actually. It's putting the pawn on a5. Which makes sense, because you stop the black knight getting active d7 to b6. Interesting. It's just, and then the king comes back, and then you start trying to do this. Crystal looking. And this is the key thing. I mean, at some stage you sack, and then you come through like this. But I don't know. I mean, I'm also not. This doesn't look very clear to me at all. You know, this end position doesn't look clear at all. So, well, that's another way of saying I don't understand at all why White would be winning in this position. Wow. That would be even more amazing. Oh, look at Keres go. Keres is looking at some sort of break like this, and then rook takes. No, I don't know. I mean, when you see the number of resources that White has, you know, just all over the shop, you're really thinking, you know, I can't believe that this is going to be drawn. I cannot believe it. So, yeah, I mean, I think we're just going to have to, it's going to have to play out over a very long time, I'm afraid. Yeah, I mean, Leela's evaluation staying very steady there, so lock Stockfish, because I can see Stockfish is looking at a similar plan to yeah, again this idea looks like a slightly better version here because we're not losing half as many pawns. Wow, this is just equal according to Stockfish. I don't know. I mean, wow. Crumbs with 2 passed pawns over here. Wow, okay. And the evaluation keeps on decreasing. I don't know. I'm getting. It's sort of. You're almost sort of wondering whether Stockfish is trolling somehow, because I mean, going down to 0.18. I mean, this is incredible. This evaluation. Wowsies. Crystal 1.84. Amazing, amazing. Well, I think I've got to. It's midnight now. I've got to. I've got an early start tomorrow, so I better go to bed, even though I don't want to. Yeah, thanks very much everyone for all the chat, the interaction. It's been great looking at all this stuff together. Yeah, I mean, well, I'll get up early tomorrow and see how it all happened. Good luck to all those who are keeping on watching it. It's yeah, it's going to be an absolutely amazing ending, I'm sure. And well, try and do a recap tomorrow. But thanks very much, everyone. I'll sort of stay still for about 30 seconds just to let the YouTube stream catch up, and then I'll switch off the stream afterwards. So yeah, thanks very much indeed. Thank you.